Hi, I'm Russell, and I'm here to refute the claim that NFL players should stand during the national anthem. So, the firm claims, for their significance claim, that patriotism should be our #1 priority. First, we'd like to argue that patriotism is not a defined concept and is extremely subjective. Gary Kasparov, who is the founder of the Human Rights Foundation, says the mighty beautiful point of U.S. free speech rights is to protect speech the majority and/or authorities don't like, treasure it. Also, Quinn Daniels, who is a veteran or a former veteran, says hashtag Veterans for Kaepernick, sports players who take a knee to respectfully protest police violence and systemic racism. Protest is patriotic. Therefore, we can see that patriotism is a difficult label to put on specific actions. Depending on your point of view, the same action can be seen as both patriotic and unpatriotic. And the true form of patriotism in America should be your right to exercise the forms of free speech and peaceful protest in order to stand up for what you believe in. Second, talking about inerrancy, she says affirmative claims that this form of protest acts as a barrier. We argue that this form of protest does not act as a barrier, and we could see that Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, who was an NBA basketball player during the years 1955 to 56, converted to the religion of Islam, and he was one of the first people to not stand during the national anthem. And in a quote from The Undefeated by Jesse Washington, he says, "At first, nobody noticed as he stretched or stayed inside the locker room instead of standing during the national anthem. When a reporter finally asked about it, the issue exploded. As we can see, it's not the form of protest that acts as a barrier, but it is the message behind that form of protest that people get upset about." Secondly, she says it blocks the message from reaching people. And we would like to argue the opposite. We said that just the fact that we're talking about it means that it did reach people. And one of the people with the most authority in the US, Donald Trump, said on Twitter, "If a player wants the privilege of making millions of dollars in the NFL or other leagues, he or she should not be allowed to disrespect our great American flag, our country, and should stand for the national anthem. If not," and then in all caps it says, "you're fired, find something else to do." In retaliation to Donald Trump's tweet, Benjamin Watson, another NFL player, says, "It is a sad day when the President of the United States seeks to disregard and punish American citizens for peacefully exercising their constitutional rights." This form of protest was not only effective, but it was also guaranteed under the Constitution. And the fact that certain people, especially those with power, do not see the meaning behind the message is not due to what Kaepernick did. These people can see numerous forms of peaceful protest with the same message and still not recognize the bigger issue or the message behind it. Secondly, the affirmative claims that it is viewed as disrespectful to veterans or members of the military. In response to this, I say that current and former members of the military show support on Twitter and other forms of social media with hashtag Veterans for Kaepernick. And according to Twitter, this was the #2, for a certain amount of time, this was the #2 most popular hashtag. And Jude Colquitt says, "I served in the Air Force from 62 to 66 and support peaceful protests. The dangerous thing in America today is Donald Trump and the Republican Party." Hashtag Veterans for Kaepernick. Also, in a poll of 8,000 service members and veterans, 62% believe NFL players have the right to peacefully protest during games, 34% disagree, and 4% are unsure. So that 62% means that the majority of veterans agree that NFL players have the right to peacefully protest during these games. And finally, the affirmative claim that the military the military fights for the flag, and we say this is just incorrect. We say that the purpose of the military is to fight for our rights, not for the flag. In a letter signed by 35 US veterans, they say, far from disrespecting our troops, there is no finer form of appreciation for our service and our sacrifice than for Americans to enthusiastically exercise their freedom of speech. As you can see, the notion that what Kaepernick did somehow disrespected our troops is false, and the majority of veterans actually support Kaepernick and what he was trying to accomplish. Next, another insolvency claim that the firm makes is that they offer a more direct and political method that would be more beneficial. Abdul Rauf, who was the NBA player who was one of the first people to not stand during the national anthem, he says, it's good to continue to draw people's attention to what's going on, whether you're an athlete, a politician, or a garbage man. These discussions are necessary. We shouldn't just use one or two types of peaceful protest to get a message across. We should use any and all forms of media that we're allowed to get this message across. And in an article by Jack Holmes, let's see. All right, let me find it. Oh, he basically says that sorry. Anyways, Kaepernick, due to his stature and due to his position as a political figure in the NFL, he was forced into this position because his profession is one in which people of color actually strive in, and therefore he had no other options except to try and make a change. Thank you.